I told you there was a solid.
Oh,
dude, that just shows you.
Welcome back to the Maximum Chillage Podcast, the podcast where Michael gives me beers with floaties in it.
Look, Chewy.
Oh,
let me explain what we're drinking here.
Okay.
This is a juicy...
I'm Chewy Sanchez, by the way.
Oh, and I'm Tiki Mike. This is from Paso Robles, Barrel House Brewing Company, a juicy Indian Pale Ale. May I say first that my glass did not have that solid in there.
What is that?
Look, okay, I'll inform you what that is in just a moment. Barrel House
The
Juicy
floaty.
IPA is our take on the popular New England style IPA. This bright tropical IPA boasts low bitterness, which I totally agree with. You say it's too strong. And an incredible juicy aroma. Get juicy. And, you know, it's sitting at a comfortable 6.5%. That's not too heavy. Yeah, man. You know, it's not that bitter. It's not that heavy.
I'm not a fan of
content.
IPAs, man.
No, I understand that.
Here's
but
why.
This is a hazy, juicy IPA. So
I'm going to educate you listeners on what an IPA is, because none of you...
What's all of this audio?
It's
is that us?
what we're recording, Michael.
Oh, God damn it. It snuck up on
Have
me.
you never realized that we record audio?
No, I mean, I thought that it would be it's hard to explain without a visual aid, so I'm not going to bore the listeners with my explanation.
Indian Pale Ales, IPAs, the drink of hipsters everywhere. This beer was made out of necessity. When the English colonized India, they wanted their beer, and they wanted to take it down to India. Unfortunately, going through the Indian Ocean... You change hemispheres not once, not twice, but 3 times. You change hemispheres. In the hemisphere change, the beer sours. And they couldn't have beer in India, and they were real pissed. So what they decided to do was, if we make this super, super hoppy, when we cross these hemispheres, it will not sour. Thus, giving you this fucking terrible beer that people have brought back for whatever reason.
You've gone back and forth on this issue before. You have even said, I want to say on the podcast, no, I actually like IPAs
Oh,
now.
My God, man.
So, yeah, you know,
other day-
not a credible source on
The other
this.
day, I went to the fair.
Yeah?
We'll get to that. We actually wrote a script today, you guys and gals. So we'll stick to that. We'll get to that in a moment.
More of an itinerary.
Itinerary, yeah. So I went to the fair, and I only had so much money to go to this fair.
Yeah.
So I decided, if I'm going to buy a beer with my bros, I got to get an IPA. So I went IPA first. Because of the strength, not because of the taste. I had to get a little toasty.
Well, I mean, there's some low alcohol IPAs too. I mean, what'd you get?
I don't remember.
Lagunitas?
Yeah, probably, honestly.
Those are actually pretty accessible and easy to drink.
Yeah.
But some of them are actually like in the 5% range.
I really don't know what I got, to be honest with you.
For sure.
So, welcome to the Maximum Chillage Podcast, the podcast where we started off with extreme banter. I just wanted to let you guys know we have stickers available. Mike doesn't know how to get stickers out to you all the easiest way. I mean, we don't see all of you.
I mean, I don't want to like start asking everybody for their address and, you know, creep them out.
If you would like,
say,
send us a
I'll meet
DM
you
with your
up in
address.
this parking lot to hand you
one
a sticker.
You're only going to get one. There's only 200 guys.
No, we don't have that many. Well, we don't even have that many at the moment. Well, close to 200 still left.
All right. So send us a DM with your address. I will send you a personalized letter with a sticker. That's one of the coolest things I ever did. Roscoe Soul Train, I don't know if he listens to this podcast. Roscoe Soul Train of the Roscoe Soul Train show on YouTube, and my Twitter follower that I like to argue hockey with. He runs a YouTube channel called, I think, Roscoe Soul Train Show. And he also is an animator, and I don't know if he animates, but he's a voice on The Goobers, which is an animated YouTube series. It's actually pretty funny. Check it out. I sent him my address one time for some free stickers, and I was expecting just the free stickers. But what I got was a handwritten letter from him about our relationship on Twitter, talking about hockey and shit, saying thank you for being a patron.
Thank you for being a friend.
Literally, and that was really cool. So if you guys want that, I'll do that for you. I don't know anything else better to do. So send us your address. We'll send you some stickers. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And honestly, shout out to everybody on Instagram. We're up to 692 followers.
I think we have more than that.
Is there?
I want to say.
I don't know. I'm really appreciative of everybody who's been following us on Instagram. That's our most powerful source of getting you guys information. Last week, we actually missed an episode, and I had to let everybody know through Instagram. Our Twitter game's not too strong, but our Instagram, pretty on point. We had Meme of the Week last week. If you missed that, we actually save those to the story that you can save onto your profile. So go always check out Meme of the Week. This week, we're going to have some Netflix suggestions. I was telling Mike that we're more of like a Netflix suggestion podcast, which is good because I'm always finding myself on Google looking up what to watch on Netflix. You ever find yourself doing that?
All the time.
Dude, I never know what to watch, but we're gonna help you out with that.
Sometimes I go to that what's leaving Netflix or what's arriving, so I know what to put in my mind.
Is that a whole website?
I don't know. I want to say it's actually some BuzzFeed bullshit. But it's informative enough for me. There's actually a couple
BuzzFeed
places
still kind of a
do
thing?
BuzzFeed
kind of like
is still kind of a thing.
By the wayside.
I won't get into it.
All right.
BuzzFeed. Fuck them.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one day.
There's a couple shows that they've done, though, like little specials that I actually do like. I hate that I do like them because I'm like, I'm just going to get into this one. The like $2 pizza versus $150 pizza.
Speaking of
those guys, you know which guys I'm talking about? The three guys, they just go to like three separate spots of cheap to medium to high expensive things like $10 lobster versus $235 lobster, and they go to each place and then they give their own take on it and which one was worth it. And I think that's what the show is called, Worth It. And I didn't realize that it was actually like a subsidiary show of BuzzFeed, but they're actually pretty entertaining.
Speaking of cheap pizza, Tiki Mike was nice enough to bring me a Little Caesars pizza to this thing. This is what we used to do when we first started this podcast, was have Little Caesars pizzas all the time. I'm a connoisseur of kind of like really expensive pizzas. I spend a good I pay a pretty penny to get some premium pizzas. But this pizza, it's pretty all right. So I feel those guys. Like, I get that. I hope that they side on the side of the $2 pizza sometimes.
No, they do. Sometimes they go with, what's your best value? That's why they say, is it worth it? Like, is it
worth... Lots of cheese on this pizza.
Like, that's why they say, like, oh, is this $435 lobster? Is it worth it? Like, if you have the money, is this worth that price tag? Or is your best value the $2, or $10 lobster, whatever the fuck it is? Same thing with like donuts. What I didn't like though is that after you watch like a huge amount of the episodes, a lot of it comes down to the expensive things using either gold flakes,
which is ridiculous,
or truffle oil.
Nothing. Truffle oil does add a lot.
Yeah, truffle does.
That takes shit to the next level.
But I mean that's almost what it not always came down to, but a good 60% of the time.
At a point in my
life,
life,
that's what it came down to. Was
into
gratuitous gold flakes that add nothing to value, but
how to harvest truffles in my backyard so I can make some money. It's actually really hard. Look it up. It's not easy. I want to add that this is a Halloween themed episode. For the most part, it is October. We're getting deeper and deeper into October, so most of my Netflix suggestions actually are Halloween themed. I don't know about Tiki Mike's, but that we want to keep it on that. The fair was just in town. To me, that's quintessentially an October thing. I understand that everybody else has fairs in different times of the year, wherever you may be from. But I'm going to tie that into October as well, Halloween, and tell you a very scary story about how the fair correlates with America's very first known serial killer. Michael brought an IPA other than this beer that has floaties in it that we're going to review. It's a Halloween themed.
Yeah, by the way, that's either like just, with the haze, they don't use the ingredients that drop a lot of solids in it. There's a lot of beers
I hope so,
will put an ingredient that clarifies it by basically dropping solids, and sometimes it's also unfiltered. So they do a low they don't use the full filtration system. So that might be some
Spit it out,
residue
Michael.
hops. Yeah.
Tiki Mike actually has a beef broth. If you're not familiar with Tiki Mike's beef broth, it's where Tiki Mike talks about a beef that he has with some certain aspect of life, where he will get to that. But let's get right into it. Netflix and/or you said this week you're actually not using Netflix. You're going to use HBO Go or Amazon.
No, I mean, not this week. I mean, I was talking about how, like, I wanted to bring up different horror movies to watch, to get you guys in the mood for Halloween.
So I did watch The Witch. I wanted to let you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think, man? Did you watch it beginning to end?
So here's the thing about The Witch.
Uh-huh.
The Witch was a bit slow for me.
In the beginning.
So slow that I fell asleep.
Oh, dude.
But I kept waking up enough to know what was going on. Here's the thing. I didn't hate it, but I didn't get to see all of it. But I got the gist of what happened.
Oh, you missed out on an experience. It's a slow burn, man.
It was very slow.
It's a slow burn.
Very,
it's meant to be
very,
that way.
very slow.
It's very... the payoff, though, is really good.
I found myself Googling it after, figuring out... That's how I know if I'm interested in something or not, is if I Google it after. Am I interested in to see what... just what happens in real life, like what were the real life accounts, what was all of that. So I appreciated it. I'm not going to say I was the biggest fan, but I do appreciate the suggestion because it got me it was also like Sunday night at night, right before I was going to bed. You can't get me at that hour with a movie. You can't really get me at any hour with the movie. I tend to fall asleep during them. But I just want to let you know that I did watch The Witch, and I suggest it. If you're looking for a scary movie that's not jump at you scary, check out The Witch. I actually watched something this whole weekend. I was watching scary stuff on Netflix. One of them was Haunters: The Art of the Scare. So basically, it's a documentary of. It was just a documentary of. Scary houses, spooky houses. Are you a fan of the... I don't know if you are. I know that we're fans of Halloween in general. But are you a fan of being scared by people?
Of haunted houses?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I love the haunted house experiences. I've been to, corn mazes where they jump out at you. Those are interesting. I like the whole thing, man. Corn mazes.
When's the last time you went to a
houses.
haunted house?
It's been a hot minute, man. It's been a while, dude. I don't even know. I was thinking about possibly going to one this year.
Which, local or abroad?
Local, I don't know. I was thinking about going back to Hobbs. I haven't been there in forever.
So we gotta let people know what that is. Hobbs Grove is actually a local yet California known haunt, fright, scare house attraction that actually does a really good job.
Attractions. They have the haunted hayride, they have the haunted forest, and then they have the haunted house.
And it's if you haven't seen it, look it up. Hobbs Grove. It's something to do in this area. If you're in the Central Valley listening and you don't know what to do, definitely check out Hobbs Grove.
They definitely invest in a high production value for their props. And
here's my problem with it.
Yeah, what's that?
Here's my problem with haunted houses. I like being scared to a point, but when I think about you think, oh, these are just people. They're just regular people. They're not regular people, though. They're fucking weirdo, and like in real life, they're weird people, and they're getting off on scaring you.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like they're like the kind of people who some of them are like cat torturers. Some of them.
Look, a little bit of this might play into my movie suggestion this week.
Okay.
And so I'll talk about that later. But yeah, haunted houses, they're dope, man. I like that. The only thing that I don't like about haunted houses is when you go and it's a semi-busy time and the group in front of
screaming.
No, not that. The group in front of you,
but I love it
just fucking sucks, and they have some person that doesn't want to go, and they wait, and then all of a sudden you catch up to them, and then you as soon as somebody jumps out in front of them, they're only like 15 feet away from you, so they don't end up jumping out at you, surprising you. You already know that they're there. Sometimes they just stay hidden because they know that you just saw them, and so yeah, that's my only beef. My next plan for that is just to just skip on ahead of them, man, because they're obviously way behind the group that's in front of them. I don't know why that never occurred to me till this moment. But
have you ever been to Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Studios?
Never went.
So Halloween Horror Nights just takes it to the next level to when you go there, you kind of can't go back to the kind of janky ones because it's literally Hollywood special effects at every corner. So it's like the primo of haunted houses. Everything is top notch. The scarers are actually probably people out of work. They're probably actually actors who are looking for a gig. So I do appreciate Halloween Horror Nights. And what I like about that is that there's a plethora of mazes too. It's not the hayride, the forest, and the house, or just the house, or just the hayride. You have 10 or 11 attractions all around you. And even when you're walking around, there's people and themes that are scary. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I think that's like the best haunted attraction that America has to offer is Halloween Horror Nights on both coasts. I think they have it in Florida and Hollywood as well. I do like that. But in this documentary, they brought over a theme that's a new thing. It's weird in the last 10 years, which is extreme haunted houses. You ever heard of those?
Oh, those are the ones that you have to sign waivers for?
Yes.
Yeah, because supposedly some people don't even complete. Some of them
there's no actual completion to the one that I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
I don't think the guy has a point as to when this is going to be done. It's called McCamey Manor. It used to be in San Diego, and it was a guy who ran it out of his house with his wife. You sign the waiver, and they physically torture you, until you give up. And it plays into your biggest fears, so you let them know what you're afraid of. You're afraid of mice, you're afraid of snakes, whatever. They bring all that shit out. They take you to their backyard. They waterboard you. They put all kinds of devices on your head. They basically just torture you until you tap out. And I've looked at videos, and it's pretty extreme. Like, they literally are like making you throw up. And then
it's about sadomasochism.
Pretty much is what it is.
Weird.
And the guy paints himself as a pretty normal guy, and you see him as a pretty normal guy. He seems a little off, but at the same time, when he's not doing this, he actually doesn't charge any money for this. He actually charges dog food that he donates to the Greyhound Foundation in his local area.
Oh, he's a creep, dude.
He's a wedding singer.
No, even worse. Oh, man, dude. The collection of videos this guy has.
Oh, lots. Because he records everything.
Yeah, and he jerks off to them later, obviously. That's fucking gross, dude. I don't even want you to tell me anymore about this guy.
So you're not a fan of the extreme haunts?
Well, no, that doesn't sound scary. That just sounds like
it's a
hurt me. That doesn't sound like something that I'd be into, man. That doesn't sound like. So
there's another one called Blackout.
Yeah.
That's not by him. It's a crazy one where they also play into your deepest fears, but they're a little sexual. They're a little sexual with you.
Oh, dude, I don't like this one either. I'm already done. I'm already done with it,
So no extreme haunts for you?
Nah, man.
You like the classic
You got to get a couple more beers in me before I'm down with that, I got to, maybe it's just some little whiskey, and I'm like, yeah, whiskey sour, all right, let's go. I don't know, man. That sounds terrible. That sounds like legal prostitution in a sense.
It does.
I feel like some of the people that are going there are trying to get off doing this.
I don't know I really don't know why they go, because he literally.
I can't imagine there being a huge pool of people doing it in the first place.
Thousands on his waiting list. Thousands. It's true. The first time I saw this guy was maybe 5 years ago when I was on Reddit or something, and I came across it, watched all kinds of YouTube videos, and I was like, this guy's crazy. Like,
that reminds me of the dark web stories about the Meat Locker chat room. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The dark web.
Yeah, no,
okay.
Familiar.
So,
if you're not familiar with the dark web, it's a version of the internet that you can only get by downloading a certain software and then going into the dark web.
It's basically untraceable for the most part. It's a lot
Anything
of
you want
illegal
on
transactions are done
That's
on there.
That's where you buy
a lot of drugs, alcohol, weapons,
child prostitution.
Porn. The Meat Locker was a chat room. I think that was the name of it. I may be wrong on the name, But this is kind of a Halloween inspired thing in a way. There was a group dedicated to, and it was a small group, but they were dedicated to talking about the best way to cook people, to take part in cannibalism. And there was even a thing about volunteer meat, basically. And there was a case where the guy was convicted for this later because they did find out who it was. This one guy volunteered to have himself be butchered. He butchered the guy on camera for the other chat room visitors to watch. And then later he prepared parts of his body to consume and ate it.
Okay, so did you ever see this video?
Did I see the video?
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No, it's dark web stuff.
Did he do it real like sadistic, or was he kind of like a Martha Stewart, where like, this is no big deal, this is just regular life, I'm gonna prepare this.
I have no idea.
Throw some flour on it, start patting it.
Oh, like that. No, yeah, like when he was eating the things.
Or was he moving real slow and looking at the camera and looking?
I don't know, like Cream Daddy. If you guys don't know about Cream Daddy, you just try to find some. His Instagram kept getting deleted because it was very graphic. But Cream Daddy was basically a creepy dude that would just like cover himself head to toe in shaving cream and say, "Hey, Cream Daddy," and then he would like hump things and hump jack-o'-lanterns and have very disturbing videos with flashing lights. It was always in black and white. Or he would have videos where he was scaring people. Or he would just be like walking down the street just butt naked, man, just fucking in cream.
Get back to your fucking story.
Oh, I'm done with that story, man. I don't know. It's just something that existed. I was just bringing it up because it reminded me of those people who volunteer themselves for, sedition. I don't know, man. It's just like weird.
So
what brings you to that part of your life where you're like, yeah, put a clamp on my balls?
No, honestly, I think people are just like bored with life.
Bored with life?
I think they're bored with life. They need something.
Do you think it's because of, we're in this age where, back in the early 2000s, the big horror genre was torture, gore, like Hostel and Saw and all
they
those.
talk about that in this not the podcast, in this documentary about how that actually stemmed from the war. That actually stemmed from, you saw things that were so crazy, so wild that nothing scared you anymore. That they actually needed to take it next level. And the war actually is a big reason why gore and horror came back, because people needed an escape from reality. They saw a huge spike in a movie attendance, even during the recession, that people were spending their money on gore and horror movies because they just needed to see something to get them away from what's happening in the world, which I think is a big thing of why people like being scared. They want something that they don't always get. They can't get this.
An intangible boogeyman that doesn't exist, that somehow dwarfs the thing in real life that they're scared of.
Yeah, it's an escape. It's escape. There's actually in the documentary they talk about in a remote region where they were the army, a guy actually set one up for the people who were in the service. It did really well because those people really needed something to get away. And I think fear and I don't know. It's something about psychology where fear actually helps you get away, even though it's something that's not fun. You're not fun. I don't have fun when I'm actually scared. Like if I'm actually like something's going on, I'm freaking the fuck out. It's not fun. But when you know it's controlled and you know you're gonna make it, you know you're gonna be alive at the end of it. I think it's something that tickles all of our fancies, and I think that's why Halloween's such a big thing.
I think everybody's fucked up then.
Oh, definitely.
I think this just, exemplifies how everyday people are slightly fucked up in the head, man. Oh, not that that's a bad 100%. Thing, I'm just saying, like...
And that's exactly why I don't like being scared by people at those states, because I feel like they're all fucked up in the head. Oh, you gotta get past that. Maybe you gotta have like a whiskey sour or something.
Patches?
I do. Well, maybe we should drop people.
We can name drop that guy. I know Patches. I say, what's up to that fool when I see him. I bet you can find a wild-eyed, crazy-haired dude at Hobbs Grove right now, and you think that he's in costume, but nah, that's just his everyday wear, and he's got fucking eyeshadow, and he's just...
Like Robert.
He just wants to talk to you about...
Smith.
Robert Smith.
Not the guitarist from Led Zeppelin.
No, he's just... he always wants to talk to you about his latest band, and it's always some, like...
Those are the kind of people who I feel like are at these things.
Yeah.
Speaking of goth people...
Yeah.
There's another show that I watched on Netflix.
What's that?
It's called The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. Have you seen that?
I've heard about it. I saw it. I saw some blurb about it, I think on like Twitter or something, where they were just saying it was like the best thing ever.
It's pretty good. And the reason why it's so good, it's a baking show ultimately. Baking and arts and crafts. But unlike most baking and arts and crafts shows where they just show you how to make something and how to create something, there's a story that goes along with it. So you have to pay attention to previous episodes because there'll be callbacks.
Oh, okay.
And what it reminds me of is what was the sci-fi theater show?
Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery
3000.
Science Theater 3. So it has puppets in this show.
Oh, I dig it already, man.
And
puppets get me every time.
They make comments about what's happening on the show, and they're the main characters. There's 3 puppets. One of them's a raccoon that's been thrown in a trash compactor that she brought back to life. One of them's a mummy cat that she found at a thrift store or an antique shop that she put a spell on and brought it back to life. And one of them's like a big-ass werewolf fool who just showed up at the door in the first episode, and he's there as well. So basically, she's making these things, which are pretty cool. Like they're just Halloween-themed edibles, not marijuana edibles. Yes, you can make them that way if you want to, but it's not marijuana. It's Halloween-themed edible things.
Yeah.
And then the little guys are just saying funny little one-liners,
like Cake Boss, but with a script.
With a script. She's not the best
not
actress.
Competition.
She's like a goth Instagram star, I guess, that they found that made the cool shit and gave her a show. So she's not by any means a actress.
A star, yeah.
She's kind of like awkward on camera, and I think that's why they were like, let's try this out. Why don't you show us how to make this? And they're like, you know what? You need the puppets. I got these puppets that'll do wonders for your show. And I think that's what it was, but it's actually pretty refreshing because there's nothing else that I've seen like it since, what did you say, Mystery Science Theater?
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
They haven't, they don't make shows like that anymore, I feel like.
Well, they brought back Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Which I didn't watch.
I didn't
felt
watch
like
it either.
wasn't
It's
the
on
same.
Netflix, and it has Patton Oswalt as one of the main
My
hosts.
favorite Mystery Science Theater was when it was on at a weird time on UPN. That was my favorite Mystery Science Theater.
You know, those guys had like a weird fallout, and some of them made their own show where it's basically the same thing, but it doesn't have the puppets, and it's just like comments during really cheesy B horror movies and B science fiction movies, and you can find a lot of their shit on what's that shit called? Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you
can find all of that shit on Amazon Prime. And I don't know if they're back for this new, rendition of the show, but yeah, I don't know. I might have to watch it. It's a pretty funny show.
Would you suggest it for Halloween? Is it Halloween at all?
Some of them are kind of Halloween. Not really. It's just for funny, campy shit. If you know what I suggest for it? You're just like really high, it's late at night, or you're really drunk and you're just having a pizza slice and you're just like, I'm going to vegetate on this couch and I'm just going to like watch shit. And that's when it's funny.
Honestly, I think that's what Christine McConnell's whatever.
Same thing.
It's just for
vibe.
People who are high.
For sure.
She doesn't really go into depth about how to make the thing.
Yeah.
Her second thing that she made was a very fucking gorgeous haunted house themed cake. She's like, so this is how you're going to make this badass cake. Basically, just get a bunch of little sheet cakes and you can cut it into any shape you want and put it together and make this badass thing. And it's like, well, you didn't explain how to make a fucking crazy cool fucking house cake. Basically, you just went 10 minutes about how to cut sheet cake.
Yeah.
So it's just for high people, I think, which I'm not a stoner, but I still appreciate that kind of television.
I appreciated that television before I picked up my new habit. So, You know.
How has that habit going? So I haven't seen you too baked lately. I think you kind of got off of it already. I haven't been
using it as much because...
You got it with you right now?
No, I don't.
He never even has it with him.
No, I don't keep it on me, man. I keep it, like I said, I keep it at my house for me to use on my days off and like just when I get home and just take a little napsy, you know. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be sitting in my car at work and just be like, well, it's time to do this and get through the shift. I don't want to go down that path, you know. I also don't want to get fired from my job. That's all just for extra.
Extracurriculars.
Extracurricular. I can't believe I.
So you have a Netflix suggestion this week?
Oh, my Netflix suggestion. So my horror movie pick this week was something that goes against what I'm usually into. I'm usually anti jump scare and slasher films because I mean there's a couple slasher films that I think are classic staples of the genre and that are necessary to watch. When I was a kid, I was terrified of, what was that movie? Was it The 13th Floor, I want to say? It was like a business office or a hotel, I don't remember. But there was one floor that was like, didn't work, but every now and then someone would fuck somebody over by hitting this certain combination of buttons or the special hidden button, I don't remember. But it would stop on the 13th floor where this person would basically be trapped on that floor with like some masked slasher killer dude. So, you know, shit like that, you know, of course, like the Hellraiser movies and like Michael Myers and the Halloween movies and Jason and Freddy Krueger, you know, those are genuine staples of the genre, genuine slasher films. So I picked a movie that was going to be something kind of like that. And it's kind of a movie that pays homage to those kinds of classic staples. It doesn't reinvent the wheel to horror at all. And honestly, it's not that good of a movie, but I found it entertaining just the same. It's called Terrifier. You can find it on Netflix. It's, I guess, based on a short story from a couple years ago. Right now it has... it's about this guy named Art the Clown. Art the Clown, I don't think they refer to his name at all throughout the whole movie. In fact, this guy doesn't even talk the whole film. He's just, the makeup's done pretty well for him. He's the most interesting thing about the whole movie. He's the only actor that seems to have acted in the movie because some of the other lines are pretty cheesy, but it's almost like done purposefully that way. It's almost like a callback to 80s cheesy slasher films, but you know, and it's probably unnecessarily, you know, or gratuitously gory in certain scenes, but I think again it's done on purpose.
How old is this movie again?
Just came out this year. And
low budget, high budget?
I want to say it was a low budget movie.
Or was it high budget made to look low budget?
No, I don't know, man. I don't think it was. It had a pretty low production value. And like some critics have said of the movie, because I even like looked up, you know, like a couple reviews on it, and there was a big mixed bag of people that either liked it or didn't like it. There's some people that compare some of the dialogue scenes from the actors as just filler space between, you know, this cat and mouse game of this guy just going in this building and, you know, hunting these people down basically. And, they compare their dialogues to the dialogues in porn that you find. Like, it's pretty bad, some of them. You know, the inexperienced actors or, you know, people that they just found to just, hey, you know, play this part. There's only like 10 lines in your part, so, you know, just do this. But, you know, the guy is actually pretty entertaining, even without the help of, like, a background origin story of, you know, you have no idea why this guy is doing it. He's just this dude that's kind of like a fucking creep that's at a haunted house show that takes it to the next level. Maybe that's what you're supposed to infer, you know, like, why is this guy doing this? Also, there's certain things that he does that kind of break the slasher film thing too. Like, there's a specific way he kills one person that does surprise you out of nowhere because you think that they got him cornered, and you're like, whoa, I've never seen a slasher film pull this thing out. I won't give it away, but you know, you're just like, wow, I you know, that's like something that would happen in real life. That doesn't seem like something they'd throw in a movie.
How many butcher knives out of 5 do you give it?
How many butcher knives out of 5?
Yeah.
Probably honestly, like, okay, as a movie, as like a genuine movie in cinema, I give it like...
That's your star rating. I'm talking about yours?
Okay, star rating, it's like at a 2.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, but out of just getting you
butcher
in the
knife
mood
rating.
of horror movies and getting you in the mood to, like, honestly, that movie is what made me think, like, called me back to, like, going to a horror, I mean, not to a horror, to a haunted house, you know. It got me in the mood for that type of, like, thing where I'm going into a building and I don't know if he's around the corner, you know. Yeah, so for that type of vibe, I give that thing at least 3.5, man. Maybe up to a 4.
What's a 5?
That feels
What's
like
a
it's a lot.
5?
A 5? Well, one of my favorite horror movies is semi-sci-fi horror, so I don't want to say it's more horror than sci-fi, I would say. But John Carpenter's version of The Thing, that movie's terrifying. It's great. It's like I would give that a 5, man.
When you watch these movies,
Yeah.
is that when you're doing your whole pen action?
Oh, just these horror movies this month. I mean, I've
You
watched
did?
these movies.
Is that too scary?
Oh, dude, it is. Dude, actually, I got freaked the fuck out about something that didn't even have to do with the horror movie. Like it's I started thinking about something that happens, and I don't even want to go into it. It's too dark. I don't want to talk about it. Look, it's just an everyday thing that people have to find. I don't know what it was. I don't want to talk about it. I got freaked the fuck out about something else while I was watching the movie.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But then, and that wasn't like horror. It was what I was thinking about. It was just a horrible thing in life that everybody's going to have to deal with at some point.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to think about it, and I don't want to think about it right now. So let's just move on from that. But yeah, you know, I think some horror movies I've always just enjoyed on its own, but I think the paranoia induced from these hits it does add a little something extra. So maybe, you know, some of these people are going to look at this movie and be like, no, it's all a bad porno flick. It's all, I mean, there's no sex.
Maybe
in it.
because you were just high.
It's just,
So
yeah.
do you suggest if you're going to watch this being inebriated in some way?
I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's a nice fun ride to do that. So, you know, and to make sure you're not going to like turn it off.
What was the name of this movie again?
Terrifier.
Terrifier. Make sure to catch it on Netflix.
A movie that's almost as generic as its name
Yeah.
and just solid.
How did you find this movie?
Oh, I think it was actually previewed on Netflix. I mean, I don't think it's a Netflix original, but it came up on, like, you know how like Netflix will just play you a random trailer like when you first log on? Yeah, like I think that's how it came up. Or maybe I was just going through horror movies and his face like stuck out at me and then I watched the little trailer preview. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, also I have a list that are that my friend Marco, a horror connoisseur, gave me that I need to follow up on. There's a couple movies on there that I've already seen. Shout out to Marco for giving me that suggestion. Definitely gonna watch at least 4 of these movies before the next episode. But yeah,
So
that's done with my
fine. Crack
Hey, man,
out that
can we
beer.
drink that
That's
beer?
exactly what I was going to
this
say.
beer
now.
is probably getting
We
warm
have
in
a
here.
Halloween themed beer.
And
Michael said loosely Halloween.
well, I said loosely. Now, I've not always been a fan of this brewing company. I like the iconic image way more than the beers that I get from them.
Thing.
It's a Stone Brewing.
Yeah.
Of course, the gargoyles on it, but this is a limited run, and it's called Stone. Enjoy by 10/31/18.
That's pretty cool.
IPA.
Well, we got to take a picture of that.
Yeah.
Let's take a picture of that.
Because we take a picture of it after.
No, because it has to be like full. Otherwise, it's just an empty bottle. That's fucking weird, dude. Go ahead. Keep talking about it.
Okay, so it's an
Where'd you get
IPA. I just happened to be at the Blackstone Costco, and I was just like checking out their beer selection because I always heard it was better, and it is way better than my store. My store
everything's
just
better
doesn't
than your
sell.
store.
My store doesn't sell, niche things or things that are interesting like this. That's actually where I got this Barrel House also. They actually have single bottles you can buy of 22, 24 ounce bottles. And I appreciate that. Sometimes you don't want to buy a whole 12 pack or 24 pack of something. Sometimes you want to just like, hey, let me give it a little taste, you know? But yeah, this beer is kind of a little bit of a heavy hitter. It's a 9%er.
Ooh,
so
let that open.
You know, Stone Brewing again. I don't know what this taste is going to be like because Stone Brewing tends to be a little bit more bitter, and I know that's not what you're into.
I always felt like Stone Brewing was a not really even a brewing company, but it was more band. Just like a. This looks like a butter in my glass, dude. I'm gonna actually wash this out before we do this.
Dude, that's the. I tried to get that out. I thought it was out. Oh, wait.
This looks like a fucking thick ass beer. It's
no, not really. It's pretty clear, man. It's actually.
Woo, no.
Oh, I mean, it's a 9%er though. It's a nice, healthy 9%. I didn't even taste
it yet, and it's hoppy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's got that floral thing.
I'm not a fan.
A wimp, man.
I'm not a fan. Never been a fan of anything Stone.
Are you a fan of this artwork? That's pretty dope.
I'm a fan of Enjoy Before 1031. I like that label. Got me. Just like the Arrogant Bastard has got me before. You know, I feel like that whole beer is all logo
merchandising.
It's all just kind of like our podcast. It's all just it's all marketing, man.
No substance.
No substance at all.
No substance whatsoever. This, legend has it, Chewy, that if you drink this
after 10:31, you get the flu.
No, before the stroke. Before the stroke of midnight on Halloween.
Do you genuinely like this?
This one, no. It's a little too malty, actually, for an IPA for me. I'd actually prefer the bitter hoppiness to this maltiness. This is more of like the maltiness of like certain lagers.
It's my third beer today.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not much. I gave you the second beer of your day.
You did. This is the third one now.
Oh,
you know what the first one was? That was delicious.
What's that?
A Coors Light.
Oh, man, Chewy.
I'm a simple man.
No, I'm a simple man. Sometimes I enjoy the Coors Light.
You know what I've gotten into?
What's that?
The last month or so?
What's that?
Out of necessity. So my work had an awards banquet.
Yeah.
Where we only got one drink voucher.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm only getting one drink voucher, I have to be at a work banquet.
Virginia Black.
No. Maker's Mark. I said, just give me a doubles Maker on the rocks, please.
Ooh.
Good. I liked it.
I don't know, man.
It was actually really, really good. And it got me where I needed to be.
One drink?
No. Actually, I wasn't drunk that night. That's what I liked about it. It didn't get you too drunk.
Just a little loose.
And I don't know why people take shots of whiskey. That night I realized whiskey's not a shot thing.
What do you mean?
It's like a slow drinking thing.
Well, you could take shots of whiskey, but there's men who just sit in their chair, their designated chair.
Their sitting chair.
They're sitting and thinking chair where they contemplate life, Chewy, and they contemplate the plight of the white man's burden. And they make the decisions that run this goddamn country. And, they fucking, sit and enjoy that whiskey to the full extent. I had this cheesy line that I'd say to customers sometimes. I hate it, dude. I hate much of a fucking tool I become at the door sometimes where I have these certain little one-liners to customers where, you know what? This is not racist at all. It's just the type
the fact that you said
No.
Whenever you say
hold on a second. I will just say the clientele that really appreciates this one joke, and I'm going to say right now, Chewy,
you can say it.
It's a terrible joke. The one group of guys that love it are usually younger Indian guys when they're buying like Crown Royal or like some other kind of whiskey.
Which is like a what? What is that? Cognac or something?
Oh, you forgot the Coke. And then they just fucking laugh their fucking heads off. When I told this to an older white man once, he looked at me with such disdain and resentment that I would choose to dilute it with Coke.
What did he buy? What did he buy?
And then he shook his head.
What was it?
It was I don't remember.
It wasn't Crown. I know
it was
old man's not buying Crown.
It might have been Crown. Crown is actually a very, very okay, man. It's very good. But I don't see an old man buying. He looked at me.
I see him buying a Knob Creek before I see him buying a Crown.
No, they buy Crown sometimes. Yeah. No, but he looked at me and he shook his head and then he said, "Well, you know what? If you're gonna put anything in it, just freeze some, what did he tell me? It was like club soda, or he said to freeze ice cubes of club soda and I could put that in there and that's it. And he said, and that's it. And I was like, all right. Sorry, man. I don't even drink liquor anymore. Like, this is just a joke I say that's not even good. Like, this is just my old man humor for, my friendly face old man humor that I say to people. And yeah, I don't like it. Makes me hate myself after I said it. Immediately after I say things where, oh man, it's just bad.
I can see it, man.
People have chocolate chip cookies and I say, oh, I hope there's milk at home.
Is that real life?
If they don't have milk with them in the cart, I'm going to say, oh, and they get those big ass, have you seen the pack?
Oh, yeah.
Those 6 cookies.
Delicious.
And yeah, they're fucking great, but they're also like a meal. I say, oh yeah, you're going to need some milk with that.
One time a lady brought some, she said that they were fresh baked at work.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, we're eating some fresh baked cookies. And I was like,
trying to pass them
these
off.
are fucking Costco cookies. They're delicious.
I mean, we're talking about the big chocolate, and I think there's like some walnut or something in it. Yeah.
And I'm like, these are delicious, but these are not homemade. She tried to pass them off real good. I think a lot of people
as
believe
they're hers.
Her. No.
Oh.
Not even that they were hers. That somebody that was like very important to the company, made like a sponsor, made them and gave them to us. Oh, who knows? It was terrible.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so I talked about my IPA at the fair, right?
Yeah.
I went to the fair. You go to the fair this year?
I did not. I don't know when the last time I've been to the fair. I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know if I've been to the fair in the last 4 years.
At one point you had a season pass to the fair.
Not a season pass.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have actually. Yeah. Well, I mean that was something that I got that was free. No. What you're talking about, I used to pay attention to all that shit. Like, take your Save Mart receipt and donate a pint of blood and all the things that get you in the fair. Bring 5 cans.
Why haven't you been?
I don't know, man. Lady? No, it's not even that, because I used to go even before, lady situations, and like, I used to try to make it out to the fair as much as I could.
I know.
Sometimes I would try to go at least...
I would go 7 times.
Oh, I don't know if I ever went that many times, but I definitely went a lot.
The fair here, I don't know if it's like this everywhere. The fair here is like a 2-week engagement where it's here for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 12 days.
Yeah.
It's 12 days, and...
I would make it 7 of those. 12.
Yeah.
And other than the times I actually worked...
I would also have free parking. Also, I didn't work as much back then, so I had a lot more free time. Not as much money to spend at the fair.
When I was a little younger, I worked there, and I thought it was Joey badass being able to work at the fair, and now I realize... not a place you want to work.
No, man.
I actually worked I worked for a radio station. I want to clarify. I did not. I was not a carny or anything. I worked for a radio station. That's why I have this cool radio voice. Hello.
Oh fuck, man. No, I don't know, man. I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's because we all used to go in groups, or it'd be like, hey, hit up so and so, hit up so and so. I slowly see my list of numbers I can call to do those sort of things with dwindling, and it's like, oh, I'll just stay home then.
Well,
but it's not just that. Like, I'm just kind of a homebody in general these days.
I went a couple times to the fair.
Yeah.
Once with my coworkers, actually really fun. They took their kids, and then once with Katie, and it was when I went with Katie, I actually had like a good time at the fair. Until this last time, and I think it's partly because I won something.
Oh, you won something.
It changes your mood when you win something.
Instead of that frustration of like, I'll take 4 more balls.
Yeah.
Line up. Here's your $5.
Yeah.
I know I'm on the cusp of victory here. You son of a bitch. I figured out your fucking scam, you asshole. Now, what do you mean I stepped over the line? Fuck you, dude. That happened to me once, where it was like an argument where it was like, no, I didn't step over the line. Like, it was the
you
one
have a lady with you?
Yeah, I think I did.
You were trying to win or something?
I think I was. But it was one of those baskets that are tilted and you have to toss the ball in that doesn't bounce out. Yeah, no, I got that shit in.
I watched videos on YouTube for hours.
No, I got that shit in, and the guy said, oh, no, you leaned over. And I was like, what do you mean I leaned over? I wasn't over the thing. I mean, I didn't get mad. I was just like, oh, what do you mean I leaned? I didn't. And but in my head, it was like, Man, fuck that guy later, where I walked away because he tried to get me for more money, and he's like, here, I'll give you $5, I'll give it to you at one of these small ones. Actually, I might have won a small one after all, but not the big one that I deserved.
Historically, I've been good at the basketball game.
The basketball one? That's hard because that fucking thing is
oval
set against you. Yeah.
Fuck. But I'm good. I figured out how much backspin you have to put. You have to put a lot of backspin. You can't try to swoosh it. It's gonna be a bounce that you're gonna get it in on. So I spent $10. I actually spent only $10 to win a giant bear, maybe like 4 feet tall.
Oh,
because it's a hard game. It's a hard. So when you win big. When you win one of those games at the fair, you might as well just get your dick and put it in a wheelbarrow and walk around the whole day. You start walking around with such swagger.
You know what? You're right. That analogy is correct. The dick on the barrel walking around. Because when I used to walk around the fair and I'd see these fuckers carrying this big-ass bear or big-ass Rastafarian banana.
The quintessential prize at the fair.
The envy I had of them. Calling back to psychology, penis envy. The envy I had for these people that fucking mastered this and got it. And sometimes I'm like, this is a fucking scam. They were given this just so people are, led by the fucking nose, like with the chance.
Oh man, they rang a train horn for me. They announced that I was winning, and it's just like, hold on, let me unzip. I got this wheelbarrow right here.
Fucking.
The whole rest of the day, I was just walking around with such swagger that I did this. And I don't know why Katie liked it so much, but she loved the bear.
Yeah.
It made
you got some. Look, man, you could be you, or you could be some suave millionaire. He could be spending all of his millions all day trying to do it and not be able to get it. And with all of his millions, he cannot attain that prize. You attained the prize.
I have a story about that.
Based on talent. It had nothing to do with, like, I have endless amount of money. It's just something. It's like being a breadwinner. It's like getting out there and killing the fucking beast for the meal tonight. You know what I mean? It's like back to caveman days.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like you're showing off. This is.
I just brought back a fucking bash a saber tooth in the head,
and I brought it back.
Big old rock.
We're gonna have fur tonight. We're gonna be warm. We're gonna have fucking. We're gonna have meat for days.
We're gonna have some bone broth tomorrow.
It's really I totally agree with you about the millionaire thing. I was actually one time at a golf resort just because my dad had like this thing when I was younger. He had a thing where he had to go to a conference, and they put him up at a golf resort. That's where he had to stay. He had to go to these conferences all day, and I was getting into golf. I was actually pretty all right at it. I went out to the driving range and used their loaner clubs. Next to me, I'm in Thousand Oaks, California.
Okay.
Only rich people live there. There's a guy fucking fitted in all fucking golf outfit. His badge nice as shit. His clubs are nice as shit. Everything about him is millionaire. He's out there shanking the shit out of those balls. He can't hit it for shit. I can totally see what he's doing wrong based off of fundamentals, just knowing. And I'm just out there fucking...
He went out there...
Fucking
big
swinging
shot,
my dick, just fucking hitting him out.
Bought the fucking nicest shit.
Yeah. And I have the fucking loaner
nice
clubs.
Callaway golf clubs.
I have the loaner clubs, and I'm fucking launching it. And you can tell he left because of me. I had some ugly ass clothes. I don't know what I was in. I wasn't the sharpest dresser when I was younger.
If you need proof of that, you find Chuy Sanchez in the yearbook. Huh?
At Chuy Sanchez.
Jesus Sanchez in the yearbook. Freshman year.
Yeah. Look at that.
You find that. It's a great picture.
It's terrible.
It's a good picture. I really like that picture.
It gives validity to my
progress.
My whatever.
I'll call it progress.
Yeah.
You read some GQ along the way.
We all made progress.
Learned to groove.
I was wearing an Echo sweatshirt. If you're not familiar with the brand Echo,
an oversized Echo sweatshirt.
It was oversized.
Some weird hair.
I had a bit of a weight problem when I was a kid.
So it's like,
It was sweater season all year long for me.
Oh man, I just explained recently that I'm trying to get sweater season all year round again. It's just that I live in the worst possible climate for that.
The fair. The reason why I bring up the fair, because it's not necessarily Halloween.
Yeah.
It's not. But the fair actually is the World's Fair rather. The World's Fair of 1893 is actually home or birthplace or what have you. Sets the stage for H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. And we're going to talk about this. You know about him, right?
I do know about
Before
him.
we get into this, I actually told Michael last week that I was going to have a horror podcast. I was going to do this for you all, where I was going to actually record a podcast and I wasn't going to try to be funny at all. It was actually going to be me being serious about, if you didn't see our post on Instagram, we posted about SpaceX and how SpaceX was in the sky, and people were confused for several minutes about if you weren't aware that that's what was going to happen. It concerned you.
Where were you? Did you see it?
I got to see the residual of it. I didn't get to see it.
Same. I was driving home from work and I was on the 99 and I just saw the fanned, descent. I don't know what it was. You know what I'm talking about? There's just that triangle fanning and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it must be another rocket launch test and I was even thinking like, oh, maybe that's why they did that test on the phones last week, about the presidential alert. And I was like, they must be testing something. Otherwise, I'd be hearing ape shit stuff going on the radio right now. And I tried to call someone to say, hey, can you see this? And by the time I got them on the phone and I looked again to the right, it dissipated. And
so I was inside when it happened, but Katie's sister was actually outside and on her way to her house. So she saw it in its entirety and took pictures and video, what have you. She gets to our house and tells us to come outside because we need to see this. And at that point, it's just like an aura of like blue. And it's not like the full thing. It's just like, oh, that's weird space dust or whatever it might be. And she shows me the picture and I'm like, what the actual fuck
sky is
this? So I freaked out for a matter of, it was only minutes until somebody, it was actually Roscoe Soul Train, who replied to me and was like, SpaceX, bruh. So I was like, oh, fuck, okay, so it's SpaceX. But I wanted to talk about SpaceX, the phenomenon that wasn't a phenomenon, just the test. But there's actually a number of UFO sightings, not necessarily aliens, just unidentified flying things in the air that are seen every year. And I had a whole written out thing about it. Before I decided to record it, I decided to perform it for Katie. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing my voice, and I'm doing the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And she starts busting up laughing at the end. And she's like, don't ever do that again.
Oh, man.
She's like, you're not that guy. That's not you. That's like, that's some beautiful writing there, Chewy. But that's some terrible narration. And so I decided, I actually had a little bit recorded, and I decided just not to do it.
For sure.
And but I want to have a little bit of a horror twist here and talk about H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. So if you didn't know about him, he is actually featured in American Horror Story. I forget which season. But he's like the sidebar of like the whole thing. You know how they like
little side characters that are in like one or two episodes of the whole season.
Yeah, well, he's a pretty predominant character. It's the whole season is like about serial killers. So like Richard Ramirez is in it. Like they all make cameos here and there. But H.H. Holmes is America's first serial killer. He's known for his murder castle, a 3-story building that took up an entire block in Chicago in the 1800s, who opened up a hotel for the World's Fair. He was trying to catch people who were going to the World's Fair and get them into his hotel and murder them. About 200 people were tortured and killed in his basement throughout the house, allegedly. The number can't be it can't be said for sure.
It's something that he also said on trial, right?
He admitted to 27 murders.
Oh, okay.
But and the thing about him is they say because of the time, yellow journalism was a thing at the time where they would fluff things up. Fake news has actually always been a problem. And people always wanted to make things sound better.
The story.
So they made this guy out to be... I don't know what the real true story is. They even said at one point that he was Jack the Ripper. They said that he was... Jack the Ripper came over here and became H.H. Holmes, which they disproved when they dug up his body and several years later and did data analysis, DNA, and they're like, not the same guy. This is just this guy who was born this place, which doesn't correlate with this guy. Whatever. But what's crazy is his murder castle is he would hire different contractors, and there'd be like 3 contractors at once working on this house that he specifically designed just to kill people. So there'd be like chutes to throw bodies down. There'd be chimneys coming from the side. There was mazes that led to nowhere. There was kind of like the Winchester Mystery House. There's staircases that led to nowhere.
Instead of confusing ghosts, it was confusing actual people.
So they couldn't get out. They said the walls were made out of ironclad, so you couldn't hear people, and there was no way you were going to dig yourself out. What was crazy about that is when the contractors started being like, why, bro, this doesn't make sense. Like, why? He just fired them and get other people. And it was said that he actually killed some of the contractors too, who were starting to figure out like this hole's weird.
I heard it was to avoid payment.
Is that what it was?
That's one of the things I read was to avoid payment to some of the contractors. He killed them. That's okay. There's the mystified story, and then there's the other story where they say that it was overblown and that he didn't have as many murders as that they said. That he was kind of just a thieving dude, just like, oh, you guys are traveling, you guys are staying at the World Fair, you come here with your belongings, kill them, take their shit, use it, and kind of more of a scam artist guy.
Well, actually, he would actually also sell bodies.
Well, that's a good scam.
To doctors. No, and he would sell them to doctors.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was illegal a lot of the times. Doctors had to work in the night, have to have grave robbers give them shit so that they could learn and study. And actual colleges would pay for dug up bodies, and sometimes they didn't ask questions. Some of the people could have been murdered.
The other thing that he would do, which plays into your theory of the thievery, he would pawn the bodies off as they were in terrible accidents and try to collect insurance money.
Oh.
So he was a crazy guy. Whether he was a thief or a psycho killer or what have you, he spawned out of the fair, the World's Fair. He came up on people coming in and not knowing where to stay, and they would come stay at his murder mansion. And it's a pretty interesting... I don't know if there's any movies about him. Do you know if there is? That would be a cool movie suggestion to look up.
No, I don't.
H.H. Holmes, look him up. It's a pretty cool story. It's the first serial killer. Serial killers kind of seem to be like popular right now, or have they always been popular?
What do you mean?
Like, people love them. Like, you just see people posting pictures of...
Well, yeah, I mean...
Is that a teenager thing? Like, teenagers...
Yeah, there's a lot of the Tumblr crowd that has the true crime group that, glorifies mass murderers of all type, all the way from serial killers to Dylan and whatever the fuck his name is from Columbine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, teenagers love darkness and death and, people that did very unsavory things. I don't know what that says about our society necessarily. I don't know.
It goes back to the
fascination has always
horror.
Been there. But you know what? I remember seeing a book passed around by some friends in high school. It was sold at Borders, I want to say, and it was a crime book that depicted a lot of crime scene photography and other stuff from like 1900s in Fresno area. And some of it was just regular car crash stuff and like, but some of it was like some gory ass shit. And it was like just trying to, say like, it's always been here. It's not a new phenomenon today. It's, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe people are just, disgusting beasts that, fucking get these sicknesses in their head and just need to act out in some way. I don't know, man. I don't like to think about it too much. Sometimes I do, but...
So that leads me to Tiki Mike's beef broth that he wants to bring to the table today.
But you know what? I don't know if I should bring up this beef broth because it's not even Halloween related. It's just me angry, dude.
You feel like we did a good job at this Halloween thing that you don't want to soil it? Is that what it is?
You want me to tell you what the subject is?
Sure. I'll let you see. I'll let you know if you can do it or not.
My beef broth this week is about Wendy Williams.
We will not talk about that this week. We'll save that for that's going to have to be saved
episode.
For February when we're struggling to come up with things to talk about.
Nah, man.
Right now there's a plethora of things to talk about.
I just had the fire in me just watching it today. So, that's it. I'm not going to bring it up. But, yeah, man.
Any other Halloween-related things you want to talk about right now? What are some things that we should do next week?
What are some things that we're going to do next week?
What that we should do?
I don't know. We should take some promo shots, I think.
Promo shots?
I think we should take some promo shots for... I don't know, not a promo shots. I think we should have a Halloween-themed shot for Halloween Day, at least.
Let's go onto the dark web and see if we can find something that we can kill.
The meat market.
Let's go to the meat market.
If any of you want to donate your body to be butchered and consumed by us,
let us
have
know.
at it.
Until next time, goodbye.